Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing something very interesting. I'm actually about 50 pages into Misery by Stephen King, and this was supposed to be all about me reading Stephen King and learning what Stephen King I actually enjoy, because I have DNF'd it and I have DNF'd The Shining. I did not like either one of those, and so I was like, Misery. It's gonna be Misery. I'm gonna love Misery. It's gonna be everything that I've wanted. It's more of like a thriller concept with like a stalker thing going on. I'm gonna love this. Unfortunately, 44 pages in, and I think I'm rooting for Annie. I think I'm actively rooting for Annie, which, yeah, bad. She kidnapped him. She is now pretending to be a nurse and taking care of him. But you know what? I really don't like him. I really don't like this main character, and we're gonna talk about it. So unfortunately, what has gone from, let's find a Stephen King that I love, because I actually like Stephen King as like a person. He's like really, well, as far as I know, I don't know of any problematic behavior. There could definitely be some, but as far as I know to this current moment, he's really funny about when he talks about certain things. So I don't have a problem with him. I got a problem with how he writes his characters. And this one is no different. So this is going from a vlog where I try to find a Stephen King that I love, and it's turning into a vlog of a girl reads Misery and roots for the villain. Like, that's what this is gonna be. So if you don't want to hear me shit on this book for however knows how long this video is, I would look away. I would look away now, because we're just gonna get right into it, and this is gonna be spoilers. I feel like this is something like everybody's read, or everyone knows everything that happens in this one. I feel like it's pretty straightforward what happens in this book. I have watched the movie, so nothing is probably gonna be that big of a surprise to me, and I understand the incredible relevance of this book. I'm not saying that it is a bad book for other people or a bad book for horror in general. I can definitely see like the merits of this book. However, I really just don't like Stephen King's writing, and I just want to have a fun time. I want to have a fun time potentially ripping this book apart. So if this is your favorite book, don't watch this. Don't watch this. Don't watch this. Please don't watch this. This is just for fun. Again, I'm not saying this is a bad book for everybody. It's just not working for me. And who knows? I could get to the end of this and I could end up loving it. That would be actually crazy if I were to, because I already got a lot of problems with this. So that being said, I don't like this. Again, this is just for fun. I'm a little afraid. So this could find the wrong audience. This is, guys, this is literally just for fun. It is just for fun. I understand the merits of it, okay? So we're just gonna have a silly, goofy time reading this book, and yeah, having fun, not enjoying it. So let's just do that. Let's just do that. So we're gonna move right into talking about the book and what I already have not been having a good time with. So first of all, why is this man obsessed with talking about Annie's appearance? Like, that is the first thing that struck me immediately, is he is basically just calling her fat and frumpy the whole time. It has been brought up multiple times at this point, and it's just like grating on every single nerve, because like it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what she looks like. Stalkers and kidnappers can look like anything. It doesn't matter that she is frumpy. It's like it's an extra disappointment to him that he was not kidnapped by some hot girl. Like, it's like, seems like he's disappointed that she looks like this, which is really sad. So then we have when he, I will say, I love the narrator. So I am listening to this on audio. I love the narrator doing Annie's part. It's actually really cool, because she like screams when Annie's really upset. So I will say I do like that. The parts that I'm not liking are the oinking. The oinking is killing me. It's so repetitive. I think we've had like 3 oinking scenes, and it literally, I'll just sit there for a second and just bust out laughing, because it is so funny when there's just sudden oinking sounds happening in this book. Then on top of that, tell me you don't like women when you literally write about a writer who's jealous of his female character. Like, that's what this is. Like, he's so pressed about his female character having so many fans. Like, he talks about all these women who, like, he could write the best book in the entire world, but this is not Stephen King talking. But is it? But is it? It's who is this character? Paul. Paul is talking about his female fans and how he writes these books, the Misery books, where Misery's this main character, and he talks about how he'll write something else and the women will send him fan letters and saying how disappointed they are, like, where's Misery? I want to read about Misery, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, I can just never make women happy. It's just all these women. They just like don't get it. And I'm just like, you're jealous of a fictional character that you created. Like, it's not even someone else's fictional character. You created her. It's wild. It is wild. And he's so jealous of her. He's saying naturally Misery is killed off in his newest book. However, I'm sorry, no way. Ain't no way that you did not kill her off on purpose. And also to have a male child, like she dies having a male child, and then the men go off to live happily ever after without her. And it's like, tell me you hate women without telling you hate women. Like, that was like a clear indicator. That was wild, the decision to kill off one of his characters he's jealous of, and that being her death scene. So that was just making me absolutely cackle that Paul is just like so pressed about this female character he created. And then we move into this description. So this is what I just started, and this is kind of where I almost just was like, I'm done with this. But I want to make this. I want to finally just fully read a Stephen King book. Maybe I just don't like the beginning of the books. Maybe the further we get into this, I'll enjoy it a lot more. So he says, Annie comes in the room. Annie's been missing for quite a long time now at this point. And Annie walks into the room and he says, what is it? From some final stronghold of sanity and evaluative clarity, the rational Paul Sheldon had thought, she looks like a widow who just got effed after a 10-year dry spell. What is that? I freaking hate Paul. I hate Paul. I hate him so much. Like, I don't like Annie. Like, you can't like someone who is stalking and attacking people just because she can. You can't like her. But, like, I like her more than Paul. I like her more than Paul at this point. And I feel like that is a great character flaw of mine, apparently. But I just can't help it. I can't stand this man. If he were to just act like a normal person, I'd be totally fine and totally rooting for him to get away. But at this point, I'm like, Annie, break a toe. Break a toe. Anytime he thinks about how frumpy you are and how ugly you are and how saying these disgusting things, break a toe. He's only got 10, so I mean, I guess move on to fingers after the toes, because he's gonna say probably more sexist things, I'm sure. Because I think he's missing like 5 toes at this point for how many times he's called her frumpy and fat. So, just, I can't. Or just talked about her appearance in a derogatory manner. So, just wild. It's wild, guys. It's wild. So, I'm gonna keep you updated. Like I said, if you've made it this far and you like the book, I wouldn't continue. I would be shocked if I end up liking this book. But you know what? Stranger things have happened. So let's continue reading Misery. I'm expecting a wild ride for the rest of this book. I've reached the end of part 1, and we got some more stuff to talk about. It's actually the next day. It's the next day. I reached part 1 at the end of last night, but I was like, you know what? Let's take a breather. Let's take a breather from this book, and let's get some perspective. Let's sleep on it. Let's go do some things on Saturday. Let's figure your shit out before you talk about this book anymore. Anyway, yeah, so I am on page 106, or I guess 109. So we have just entered part 2, Misery, which I'm interested to see where we're gonna go from here, because honestly, I feel like absolutely nothing has happened. Like, this is such a boring book to me. I love the movie. I really do love the movie, but I was thinking about it last night and I was like, what do you honestly remember about this? And I wonder how different the movie is from the book, because definitely there's way less fatphobic comments, but I don't remember like exactly who Annie is. And I'm a little nervous now because in my head, she's just this person who has kidnapped this guy because she's a crazy fan, and she is just like a stalker. Like, it's terrible. She shouldn't be doing these things. But part of me just absolutely hates Paul to that extent that, again, in real life, never in real life, ever. I don't care what someone does. They obviously don't deserve to get kidnapped. However, in a fictional sense, kind of rooting for Annie. And I am gonna laugh my ass off if she turns out to be like some, like, I don't know, like psychotic serial killer or something like that. Like, what if she ends up, because I don't think she is. What I remember is that she just is going after him specifically. But yeah, that'd be really funny if she was, but I don't think so. I think she's just like focusing on him. But anyway, I did go back and I like made sure that I didn't miss anything, and somehow I missed that he was drunk driving at the beginning of this book, and that's why he crashed. At least so far, that's what we know about. And it's like, if I didn't need another reason already to hate this man, and on top of that, he was drunk driving, and I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I hate him so much. And it's just like, So I did pull some quotes from the section that we just went through because it's just continuing. It is the how, like, the frumpy fat comments just will not stop. And I will say, I looked it up. And a lot of people who love this book do take issue with how many times that he has brought up how fat and frumpy she is, which I appreciate. Like, I get it. If you love this book, you love this book. But I'm glad at least, like, people are noticing that this is such a weird thing. Because I was talking to Lucas about it last night, and I was like, you know, he mentions it so much. Like, he mentions how fat and frumpy is so much, like, it's crazy. And he's like, well, I mean, isn't it okay to think that your kidnapper is, like, ugly? And I'm like, yeah, but I feel like if I was kidnapped, I wouldn't be going, oh, this fat guy is kidnapping me. I'd be like, oh my God, no, like, I want to live. Like, this scary person has kidnapped me, not this, ooh, fat ugly guy has kidnapped me. Because it makes it seem like Stephen King or Paul wants, like, some hot chick to kidnap him. Like, would that be any better? Like, how would that be described? So I did write some quotes down, and I did do a little bit of research about Stephen King during the time that he was writing this. So we're going to talk about that as well. But for my second update, I literally wrote second update and took a couple of notes. Literally, oh yeah, he was talking. So he's, like, hallucinating during this book, which is definitely something that's not really apparent, I feel like, in the movie, because obviously we're not in his head in the movie. And so he's talking about himself, like the police finding him and stuff like that, and he's talking about how in the newspapers, like, people are gonna realize he's missing because he's this ultra famous person and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, and he's like, at one point he's talking about himself like he is God for creating misery as a character, and I'm like, are you that big of a celebrity? Like I get it, like, there's some authors who are really big, like Stephen King is a pretty big celebrity, but I feel like if he were to go missing for a couple of, like, months, people would be like, yeah, he's just doing author things. Like, he's just doing his author things. So I just found it funny that Paul was talking about himself like he is the end-all be-all of existence, and everybody on the planet would realize that he's missing. So then he was talking about, so here's some of the fatphobic comments. So he was talking about Annie was, like, picking him up, and she, like, rests her neck or something against his, and he says, like the neck of a horse. I was dying last night. I was like, Lucas, you got the neck of a horse. And he was like, what? I was like, exactly. Like, what does that mean? And then he said her solid body, again, for, like, the 1,000th time. And then again, the next one was, well, she was a big woman. Why is that so relevant? I feel like you need to say it once to mention, like, how she's able to, like, lug you around. Like, you can call her strong. She's a strong woman. But, like, the fact that she's just constantly big, solid. I think he calls her, like, a void at one point, which I thought was great. And then he said, the only elf that's going to show up here is that all-time heavyweight Annie Wilkes. So I was just cackling my ass off last night while reading this because it was just, like, every other page was a comment like that. So I'm hoping it, like, calms down a little bit in the back half of this book. Like, dang. Also, his sportscaster voice, absolutely killing me. Like, the voices in his head just absolutely crack me up. So again, I'm still just like, what was Stephen King thinking? Which, that's why I looked him up. I was like, what was he thinking while he was writing this book to be this obsessed with Annie Wilkes being this fat person, this super solid person? And so apparently this was the phase of Stephen King's life where he was on a lot of drugs and alcohol, which you can definitely see in this book. Like, you can definitely see it reflected in this book. And he was talking about, in an interview, he was talking about how Annie came from a place of, he had, like, a dream or a nightmare or something like this, and it was this grotesque, monstrous creature. And that's what translated into Annie Wilkes. But it's like, you made her a human woman and then made her, like, the grossest human woman available. And that's, like, where I'm getting the disconnect from. Like, I kind of wish she was, like, almost like a monster more, like, almost like this, like, void creature kind of thing. I think that would have been a lot cooler for me personally, but I don't know. Everyone loves this book, so obviously I don't know what I'm talking about. And then he also said, like, because that's one of the famous things, like, this is misery because he was in misery writing this book. And I feel like I feel that. I feel his misery in this book because it's making me miserable and I don't like it. So that's kind of all I have to say for that update. Is I will absolutely die if Annie turns out to be, like, have killed, like, one other person. Like, I can see her killing, like, her neighbor or, like, someone who pissed her off or something in a previous life. Because he does keep bringing up Denver and how she had to go to court or something. And I'm a little confused about that part. But she apparently had to go to court in Denver, and Paul is really suspicious it's for something really serious. And he has brought up the fact that she probably was a nurse at some point. So I am curious if she killed a patient or something, that maybe she felt like she was putting out of his misery, or she became obsessed and that was her first obsession thing, was this other patient. So I can see that, but like, I don't know. I would seriously, if she turns out to be a serial killer and I'm sitting here telling her to break Paul's toe, a toe per fat comment, it's gonna feel real bad. It's gonna feel real bad. So anyway, we are moving into section 2. I will see when I update you. It just kind of depends what happens in the book, because if it just continues the same way, I probably won't have too much more to say other than, yes, more fat comments. But again, we'll see where it goes from here. We have officially finished part 2. Oh, my head is hitting the little decorations in the background. Yeah, we finished part 2, which was Misery, and now we're moving on to part 3, which is Paul. And it does look like it might be, I was gonna say the shortest section, but I don't actually think it is. Now that I'm looking at the book, we're here. We're almost done. We are in the home stretch. I am on page 237. And in this copy of Misery, because there are many different copies of Misery, there are 351 pages. So about 100 pages left, about 120 pages left. And I cannot wait for it to be done. First of all, let's talk about the really awkward elephant in the room. The statement that I made about Annie most likely not being a serial killer. And then, shocking, I feel like, to nobody except for myself, she is a serial killer. She is a serial killer. I don't know why I was surprised. I feel like I shouldn't be surprised, because we talked at length about, multiple times it was brought up that she was a nurse and no longer is a nurse, obviously. And so I feel like I could have guessed that she was doing something sketchy at the hospital. I wasn't expecting the extent of it. And I'm really mad at Stephen King for making me have to root for Paul. Like, I have to root for Paul now, especially after that. I don't like either one of them, but now I have to root for Paul to take this woman out. Because infants, ooh, I wasn't expecting the infants. I guess I probably should have, like, the hints were all there. She talked all the time about hating kids, because we do find out she killed other kids, including the other infants that she killed at the hospital. But I was kind of expecting, if she was going to be a serial killer, I was kind of expecting like an Angel of Death type of situation, where she was like killing elderly patients that she thought were in pain, or terminal patients that she wanted to put out of their misery. That's kind of what I was expecting a little bit more, not the extent to with which she killed everybody, like literally everybody she killed. And I honestly would really love to watch is it a forensic psychiatrist? One of those. Forensic psychologist. I would love to listen to a review from a forensic person who looks at serial killers and the way that they act, because normally there's like patterns and they act a certain way due to certain things in their lives. And there's no seemingly rhyme or pattern or anything that goes on here, because she kills adult men, because there is like an aspect of abandonment and cheating on her and going behind her back. She definitely does not like people who lie to her. That's a big one. So I can see her killing like her male partners, and that would kind of lump Paul in there with it. But then you have her killing children. You have her killing women. She killed both of her parents. I think she killed both of her. I know she killed her dad. I don't remember if she killed her mom. So she just kills everybody, just everybody. So I would love to listen to somebody who does criminology or something like that talk about this book and what they think about Annie as a killer, because it does seem all over the place. So I don't know how accurate that would probably actually be to somebody in real life. But yeah, wasn't expecting the serial killer aspect of this, and to the extent that it was going. So I do think that was an interesting twist. Again, I don't think anyone was surprised except for me. I also actually liked a scene in this section. I still think this book is horribly boring, but I actually did like the scene with the foot. That was gruesome. That was so much worse than the movie. That was like, I can see why they changed it in the movie. Unless like late, no, because in the movie she like breaks his ankles, right? Like with a sledgehammer or something, or the back of the axe. It's been forever since I've seen that movie. Like I'm planning to watch the movie after I finish reading this. Yeah, I get why they changed it for viewing audience's purposes, but that was intense. That was an intense scene. That was probably the best scene so far in this. I did skip over the rat scene. I skipped over them talking about how hungry the animals were. Oh yeah, Annie also kills cats, which I was like, okay, of course it can't be a Stephen King book without some sort of animal suffering at one point, which is another reason I've been so reluctant to pick up one of his books. But yeah, so let's see. I did write some notes about this section. I did like Annie coming back and revealing all the stuff that she already knew. Like, I feel like that was a little obvious. Like, he's not in the headspace to hide all the things that he's been doing. So I did like when she came in and she's like, yeah, I knew what you were doing the whole time. Like, crazy that you thought you were hiding all this stuff from me. So, oh yeah, there were some more sexist comments. Most editors were like women who drive into service stations and tell the mechanic to fix whatever it is that's making the knocking sound under the hood, and they expect it to be done yesterday. And I was like, there are plenty of men who do that. There are plenty of men who do that. There are also plenty of women who are very knowledgeable about cars. I'm trying to keep it in a headspace of when this was written, which I believe was the 80s. So you do have that expectation of women not being particularly fond of cars or into fixing cars. So I'm trying to give some leeway reading it now, but that really irked me because that was just, that was a no-no. Then I also, until the end of that section, Annie also doesn't come off as scary. Like, she didn't come off as scary to me that much. She came off more as like a nagging wife, which again, it's like if Stephen King were to write a male character kidnapping him, they would describe the parents probably once or twice. They would probably be more frightening, more overbearing, more just generally scared, and I feel like Paul would be talking more about how terrified he was. Instead, I feel like when he has conversations with Annie, it's just like her nagging him half the time, and I'm just like, I feel like it's just another thing that's just written about women, because women are just like, that's like a stereotype, is women nag people. They nag their husbands. They nag the men in their lives, because mothers get told they're nags all the time too. So I just was like, I just was so annoyed with her characterization that way. Even in serial killer form, she still is just coming off as a nagging woman, which is frustrating. Yeah, I said so bored of I was bored of the Misery chapters. I know, I was actually looking them up online to see what people thought about them, and it's very mixed reviews. A lot of people who like the book don't like those sections where he's just writing about Misery and her story. A lot of people do like them, so it does seem to be very all over the place. I personally am not a fan of them. I don't think it really lends anything to the book. I feel like he could have just given us a brief synopsis of how he was changing things and bringing Misery back to life. I don't think it's necessary to include the actual chapters. Maybe it is later in the book, but as of right now, I just don't really feel like it's necessary. And it's what's causing the book to take so long. Like, it's just dragging constantly. Like, there's nothing happening until the foot incident. Then I said, oh yeah, he even insults her cooking. He's like, oh yeah, she's like, again, I feel like he wouldn't be insulting a male kidnapper bringing him food and cooking for him. It would just be like, oh, he's cooking for me, I guess I'll eat this. But in this, it's like everything that she makes has this sterile quality, maybe from the places that she's worked. It's worked into her personality. It's like he personally is insulting every part of her that would make her a good woman. That's what it seems like. He's insulting her cooking, he's insulting her caring techniques, he's insulting her looks, he's insulting what she eats. There's a whole section, unnecessary to talk about what she's been eating, and he harps on it, like talking about how much ice cream there is everywhere when he finally gets out of his room, and how there's just like piles of things everywhere that she's shoveling into her mouth. And I'm just like, we get it. You think she's fat. we get it. Oh my gosh, we get it. And then I think my biggest thing with this book, and I don't know how I feel about it. This isn't me saying it's bad. This isn't me saying it's good. Annie Wilkes obviously is suffering from severe depression, potentially bipolar disorder, potentially schizophrenia. I don't know. I don't know the difference between them enough to say what she has, but she has a severe mental disorder, like needs help so badly, and like has needed it apparently since childhood. So I am curious if there was some sort of trauma in her childhood, especially because I think her dad was her first victim, or were it the kids? I don't remember if it was the dad or the kids, but like there could be abuse from the dad, and it's not excusing her behavior, obviously, but it stinks that at no point was there anybody who was there to step in and be like, oh, you need help. Like you need serious mental help. And so it sucks that the person who is committing all of these crimes is somebody who seems to not understand reality. Like she seems to break from reality very often and then has these like moments of realization where she starts panicking. So after she breaks, or after she cuts his foot off, she panics. Like he even says it. He's like, she panics and like looks around and then sees some trash, aka the foot, and it's like, oh, I can take this. It's like she doesn't know where she is. Like she does not realize what is reality and what is fake. And it really sucks that that is who the serial killer is. And I mean, that is real life as well. Real life, there are people who have psychotic breaks and they do things. It sucks though that you're painting this mentally ill woman in such a horrible light. So I feel weird about it. I feel really strange about it, but I also don't know. I don't know exactly how I feel about it because I feel like it's realistic in some sense. And then in others, you want someone to step in and get her the help that she needs. So I am struggling with that. I find that an interesting debate. And again, this was written in like the 80s, so mental health was not something that was really looked into as much, especially now. But I just like, I don't know. There's like, I feel like that is finally an interesting aspect to this book. But I have a feeling, based on what I know from the movie, that it's not going to end in a way where we talk about anything. It's just gonna be like he kills her and gets away. I'm assuming that's what happens. So I feel like we're just gonna gloss over the fact that she has an extreme mental health problem. Because I mean, what else are you gonna do about it? Like she kidnapped him and killed a bunch of people. But I don't know what you do from that point. So interesting discussion. Don't know if it's really the point of the book. I don't think it's really the point of the book. I think the point is just that she's crazy and she's killing and kidnapping people. I don't think it's about the system and how it fails people like Annie because no one caught it from a young age of what was going on with her. So I feel like that would be more of an interesting discussion, but again, I don't think that's something you're gonna get from a book that was written probably in the 80s. I don't know. I haven't read a ton of books from the 80s. So anyway, that is me on to my final section. It is called Paul. My favorite person in this book right now, unfortunately, because it was Annie until she started killing children. So we're gonna move on to this last section and I will give you my final review and rating of my very first Stephen King book that I've ever finished. Okay, let's talk about it. I finished Misery and I am gonna be giving it a 1 star. So that being said, I have looked into the book and stuff like that. I want to just talk about the book a little bit and my problems with it, and I don't think it's a good book. I don't think it's a good book, which I feel like is a wild thing to say. But I just don't like Stephen King's writing. I mean, that is majority of what this ends up coming down to. I think we can definitively say at this point that Stephen King is not the author for me. This is a Stephen Graham Jones type of situation. Although arguably I can see more about why people like Stephen Graham Jones than I do about the Stephen King books that I've read. Every time I pick up one of his books, I feel like there's just so much problematic stuff. And I don't care that it was from the 80s. I think it said 1987 this was written. I don't care that it was a previous time. That's what I'm going to get. I'm going to get comments about how it was a previous time. You have to look at it in the lens of the 80s. And it's like, you know, some of this stuff was also not acceptable in the 80s. And you can tell when something is not nice in the 80s. It's not like it was the Wild Wild West back in 87. I mean, I was born, 5 years later? So it was not the Wild Wild West. Like, people from the 80s knew not to call each other fat. Like, I feel like that's a thing that's been around for quite a while. Knowing not to use the N-word, that's a thing that he, like, loves to sneak into his books. Which we'll talk about, because again, I know there's arguments for and against it. So, like, we know these things are not good. Again, this was not written in the 1700s. This wasn't written in even the early 1900s. It was 1987. So, I generally just don't like the writing in this. Don't like how it was formatted. I thought the plot was incredibly boring. I pretty much liked nothing about this except for the scene where she cuts his foot off. I thought was incredibly tense. And then, but I still didn't like the dialogue during those sections. And then I did like the end where he was kind of like imagining Annie, like showing the PTSD at the end, I thought was actually really good. And showing him moving on and starting to write something new and to try and help with his mental health and stuff. I thought that was actually pretty good. The problem lies with everything else. So something that Stephen King does, and I have looked up many arguments for and against this topic, and I also missed it at the beginning. Apparently Annie is, well, okay, Stephen King really likes to make his villains racist to show that they are villains. And I am definitely in the group that thinks it is wholly unnecessary. It's like Annie is a serial killer. Like, she's a serial killer. You don't need to have her throw the N-word around to show that she's the villain. It's already there. It's just really weird to add in that she's racist and to use the N-word to show that she's evil. It's like, no, it's weird. It's weird you just adding that in there. So some people argue that it's like, yeah, his villains are villains. He wants to make them as disgusting as possible. She literally kills infants. You don't need any more than that. So I do think it was a gratuitous use of the N-word and was wholly unnecessary, because not only was there the N-word in it, which was quite shocking. Like, I don't know when the last time I've read a book. I think maybe, did Jaws have that? And I read that a long time ago, so I can't remember if it was, but I don't know when the last time I read a book that used that word in it. And so it was quite, like, surprising, because again, I'm not a Stephen King fan, so I don't read a lot of his books, so I was not expecting it, and I totally forgot about it. And then when the word was said, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember this being a problem in his books, and it's one of the reasons I don't read his books. So on top of that, Annie also wanted Paul to write the only Black character in this entire book as, I think online said it's minstrel speak. I'm not 100% sure. I've never heard that term used before, but that's what the online critics of the Black character in this book, how they speak, that's what they called it, is minstrel talk, minstrel speak. And so Annie is super racist, and so tells him that that is how the character should talk. It sat so poorly with me. Like, again, Annie already kills infants and people and has kidnapped Paul and cut his foot off. She doesn't need, like, you don't need to then add this gratuitous hate against Black people. It's just so unnecessary. It feels weird. And yeah, it was just very strange. I didn't see the purpose in that, because you already know she's a bad person. So definitely let me know what you thought about that, because there are definitely arguments back and forth about King's use of Black characters and racism in his books. So that did strike me as strange. Then again, it's still just all the fat comments. She's a sturdy woman. She's a big woman. She's grotesque, blah, 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 blah. It was exhausting. It was honestly exhausting. And it legitimately made me feel like Stephen King hated fat people. Like, I know it's supposed to be like Paul, but I feel like King wrote a lot of himself into Paul. Even from reading his interviews and stuff, he was talking about how he wrote Misery when he was on a lot of cocaine, a lot of alcohol, and was dealing with crazy fans. And I was like, okay, so he did write some of himself into this character. Like, I feel like I'm supposed to be rooting for Paul, but I find him a gross character as well. Like, Annie and Paul are gross characters. Obviously, Annie wins on how terrible she is, but Paul is not this, like, beautiful angel baby that you're rooting for either. So I was like, was Stephen King fat phobic? Because this is a lot. This is a lot. I get he talked about how this like came to him in like a dream of this grotesque figure. But again, changing it into just this fat woman is just like, feels targeted. It feels targeted. On the other hand, a lot of people said that who love the book say Annie is a good portrayal of like gender reversals because normally you have the man in power and stuff like that. And I agree that it is nice seeing a female serial killer instead of always being like the men doing everything. Like you actually get to see a woman being evil, which I feel like is not something you see often in books because women are seen as soft. But like, again, she's not this like pretty serial killer. It's, oh no, she has to be ugly and grotesque and smell weird and be shoveling ice cream in her face the entire time. That's the only type of woman that can be evil and kidnap somebody. That's what it feels like. And then the scene at the end, ooh, I researched into this one a lot because I was very confused where this came from, and I was like, this might actually be how this word was used more in the 80s, but there is a whole scene where Paul is attacking Annie and he's talking about R-ing her and taking back his power and stuff like that. And so I looked it up, and a lot of people did not like that scene. A lot of people did not like that writing, did not use like that use of that word in that scene. And that was shocking. Like I paused the audiobook and I kind of looked at it and I was like, oh, that's really weird. And I actually checked this copy because I think this is a later copy. Because this is not the original cover, obviously. I don't know when this was 2016. So I kind of expected some stuff from like the audiobook. I don't know when the audiobook was recorded though, to be changed. Like maybe he went back and edited some stuff out, but that was not the case. So that was definitely in there. And I looked it up and a lot of people did not like it, but a lot of people explained it as that word is not used in like the sexual meaning of the word in the book. It's more of like taking away, like he is taking away power from Annie and giving it to himself. That was a really weird way to phrase it, but I'm gonna give him the benefit on the doubt on that one. And maybe that is a product of 80s writing. I don't know, but I found that very strange. Then there was also scenes at the end where Paul was getting, and that's why like when you use the R word like he did, it makes me nervous when literally a couple pages before or after that, he's talking about writing in this super sexual way. Like it was gross. It was super gross. And I'm just like, I don't understand why people are enjoying this. And maybe I just didn't get the book. Because I'm sure I'm going to get comments about that too, that I just didn't get this book. You know what? I didn't get this book. I didn't understand the point of it. I didn't understand what was to like about it. I didn't understand anything about it because I did not enjoy it. So that's kind of all that I have to talk about. I definitely would love to hear from people who love this book. Let me know what you liked about it, how you interpreted things maybe differently. I don't think it will raise my rating, but I always love to hear from people who have a different opinion of me on a book, especially a book that I really hated, like worst of the year hated. Probably not the worst, but it's on the top 10 list right now. So anyway, that was me reading Misery. I really went into this with the best intentions. I purposefully picked Misery because I love the movie. I thought it would be a great, easier read. Like it's a shorter book. It's more easily digestible because like I said, I tried it and The Shining. Neither of those went well. I think I quit after 50 pages in both of those. So I really thought this was a recipe for success. I really thought I was going to come out of this at least like a 3.5 to a 4 star is kind of what I was hoping for. I was not expecting this to become a hate read. So I am probably going to be going and looking up reviews because I didn't want to look up reviews to change my review too much. So probably for the rest of the day, I'm going to be going to look up reviews of Misery online, of people's positive and negative reviews of it. But yeah, I finally read a Stephen King. Finally, besides the Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. That was forever ago, and I loved that book. Part of me like really wants to reread it to see if I still enjoy it, but it was a novella, I think. But yeah, finally read a full-length novel by Stephen King. I still have a small interest in reading Mr. Mercedes because I do think besides Misery, if I were to like anything, it would be the Holly series because it is more of a criminal justice type of situation, investigation situation, which is definitely more of what I enjoy. But I just don't know. This like really, really ruined me for trying another Stephen King because I've been searching for so long to try and like one of his books and it has utterly failed. Utterly failed. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys got something out of it. I really hope none of you actually like Misery that ended up making it to the end of this video because that would be really sad. Definitely leave a comment down below what you thought about the book. Spoilers are fine. I feel like at this point, everyone who's read it who wants to read it has read it. Or has at least watched the movie, so like no general spoilers. So if you want to leave a comment, you have nothing else to say, leave a... What would be fun for this book? Do they have an axe emoji? Even a pickaxe works. Any type of axe adjacent in the comment section if you want to let me know that you're here. And yeah, like the video, enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe so you miss any future content. And that wraps up October. Oh, thank goodness. We are back to our fantasy era. I need to go purge my brain from all these horror books and read some fantasy books. So that is everything that I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next video.